Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collins Guitars and Mandolins, each and every one built from the sound up in Austin, Texas. This episode is also brought to you by Peghead Nation, the home of roots music instruction. If you want to improve your playing, join me and thousands of other pickers getting better every day at pegheadnation.com. Hi, this is Matt and you're listening to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who loves bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is your Bluegrass Briefing for Monday, August the 19th, 2024. And it's a bit of a double up one because I didn't do one last week, so I'm putting last week's news in this one as well because there's a few bits to get through. Quite a bit of exciting stuff. First off, as always, thanks to Bryan Sutton for my theme tune, which I'm still loving. I listened back to an old episode the other day, and me playing Whiskey Before Breakfast sounds so kind of ploddy and average compared to this new theme tune, so I'm very grateful for it. It's fantastic. Thank you, Bryan. Podcast news, what has been going on, what is coming up. So last couple of weeks I put out an interview with Becky Buller about her fabulous song cycle / album Jubilee, which I really enjoyed. If you didn't check that out, go and listen. It was an absolute joy. Hoping to get to see Becky play some of those songs at IBMA in a few weeks. Also this week, last week, as you will be hearing this on Wednesday, I put out an interview with Rebecca Frazier. Now, she's got a new record coming out in September called Boarding Windows in Paradise that she recorded with Bill Wolfe, and it's brilliant. Really enjoyed it. You can't hear it quite yet, but it is on the way very soon. Go and listen to the interview. Go listen to it now, and then when the record comes out, listen to the record and listen to the interview again, because Rebecca's great. I really enjoyed that. Really fun chatting with her. What else for you? Just every Thursday on my social channels, I'm doing a thing for Throwback Thursday and just pulling one of the old interviews out of the archives, just because there's 400 and something episodes now, and finding some of the interviews that you might like might be a bit tricky. So a couple of weeks ago, I have not reposted them on the podcast, but I'm just sort of posting links on social channels. And I posted the link to the one I did with Eric Sky a couple of years ago, which I loved. Really interesting conversation with a fascinating guitarist. And then a few days ago, I just resurfaced the interview with Charlotte Karivic. Charlotte's a British guitarist that if you don't know, you really should. And that was one of the earliest interviews, so you may have missed that one. Charlotte's great. She was at Bryan Sutton's Blue Ridge Guitar Camp as an instructor in the summer. You should know Charlotte if you don't know Charlotte. So go and check that one out. Other news, I have just done a bit of tidying on the website, bluegrassjamalong.com, and I'm tagging all the interviews with sort of relevant things to make them easier to find. So if you want to go to the interviews page on the website, you can sort stuff by theme. So all the stuff that is, has a lot of Tony Rice content in has been tagged with that. Guitars, mandolins, fiddles, various different themes of stuff. So if you're interested in all the banjo-related episodes, you can go and find those. Hopefully that is helpful. Usual reminder for everybody that if you're listening on Spotify, you are missing out on dozens and dozens and dozens of play-along backing tracks on this podcast. Spotify won't host them, but everywhere else does. They're on the website, they're on Apple, they're on all the other platforms. Check those out if you haven't. And then finally, what have we got coming up? This Wednesday, I'm putting out a conversation I had with Jason Belindi, who founded and runs Fretboard Journal, so the magazine, podcasts, and Fretboard Summit, which is coming up. Fascinating chat, such a nice guy. Just interesting and interested and warm, and just, yeah, he's had a fascinating role in the sort of world of instruments and acoustic music over the past couple of decades, and that's going to be a lot of fun, that one as well, so stick around for that. That is it in terms of podcast news. Please, if you want to help me out, there's two things you can do. One is on Apple Podcasts, you can subscribe for a tiny amount of money, which will give you ad-free listening and let you support the podcast. Or if you don't want to do that, please just share an episode. Tell a friend who loves bluegrass. It's really funny watching the stats some days, and I can just see that somebody new has found the podcast and downloaded loads of episodes, and that makes me happy. But if you've got any mates who like the music, like bluegrass, like listening to stuff, just send them an episode you think they'll like, and that would help me out enormously. But that is it. Enough about the podcast. Let's crack on with Church Street news. And as you know, if you've been hanging out with me for a while, you will know that news and announcements is the section we call Church Street News. And there's a couple of bits this week. First thing, Daniel Patrick, who runs the Mandolins and Beer podcast. If you remember, I spoke to Daniel when I did the Into the Cauldron anniversary episode last year. I also chatted to him for the IBMA Roundup episode last year. I'm hoping to bump into him there again this year. But he's got a new record coming out in October called Around the Clock. And it's basically him and a bunch of his favourite mandolin players doing duets. And I'm really looking forward to hearing this. It's a cool bunch of songs for starters. Lots of sort of what you'd think of as rock songs, I guess. There's some Hendrix on there. There's some Beatles. There's some Jerry Garcia, some Allman Brothers, some Tom Petty. Loads of cool stuff. But he's got a great bunch of mandolin players on it. Sam Bush, Ronnie McCory, Sharon Gilchrist, Tim O'Brien, Jared Walker, Harry Clark, Mary Meyer, Jacob Jolliffe, Mike Gugino, who I don't know, so I hope I pronounced that right, Matt Flinner and Joe K. Walsh. That sounds fascinating. I'm hoping to get hold of Daniel to chat about that a bit nearer the time, so I'll keep you updated on that. But yeah, I'll post some news about that when it's out. That sounds like a really exciting project. And the other thing is Peghead Nation, who sponsor Bluegrass Jam Along, they have a new course coming out called Contemporary Flatpicking Guitar with Grant Gordy. That would be really cool. Really interesting one there. Do check out the show notes to see how you can get a free month of Peghead Nation with a code they've given me. Go and have a look there. But that's your two bits of news this week. It's Daniel Patrick's new record, Around the Clock, and Peghead Nation's new contemporary flat-picking guitar course with Grant Gordy. A couple of really exciting bits there. Stick around, we will go through the new releases in The Grass is New in just a second after you've heard from Bryan Sutton again. And there is quite a bit of new music out, quite a bit of good new music too. Really enjoying some of this stuff. It's all in the Grass is Mostly New playlist on Spotify, which there is a link to in the show notes. So you can go and listen to it all. Don't just take my word for it that it's good. What have we got? We have got Stephen Mougin and Ned Luberecki have a single under the name Nedsky and Mojo, Act Naturally, Buck Owens' song. Or if you are a British guy like me who grew up in the 70s, you will know this as a Beatles song. They did a cover of this. Really cool. That is in the playlist. Go and have a listen to that. Jason Carter and Michael Cleveland have another single together called Outrun the Train. Two of my favourite fiddle players on one song. What's not to like there? Go and listen to that. That's on the playlist too. Talking of fiddle players, Andy Leftwich has a new single called Aced, which is now out and is in the playlist as well. There's a new single from Jerry Douglas called Something You've Got, which is, he's got a new album coming out very soon, and that is from that. And who else? Sarah Jarosz has a new track called Wildflowers in the Sky, which came out today. I'm recording this on Friday, so it came out today. Go and listen to that. That's great as well. And Aoife O'Donovan and Hawktail. I've mentioned this before. There's been a single from this, but they've sort of done a reworking of some of the tracks from Aoife's last album. So there's a sort of an EP mini-album called Aoife O'Donovan and Hawktail Play All My Friends. And there's some of that in the playlist as well. So loads of good music there. Go and check that out. That's Stephen Mougin and Ned Luberecki's single, Act Naturally, Jason Carter and Michael Cleveland's Outrun the Train, Sarah Joseph's Wildflowers in the Sky, Andy Leftwich's Aced, Jerry Douglas's Something You've Got, and Aoife O'Donovan and Hawktail Play All My Friends. What a bunch of good music there. That's my weekend listening sorted out. Yeah, as always, check out the playlist. It's got all of this stuff in. It's a great way of just getting a recap on what's come out so far this year and hearing some new stuff. Link in the show notes, but we will move on to Scroll On Buddy. And Scroll On Buddy is a bit where I've spotted something on social media and I'm just mentioning it in case you haven't spotted it. And the first one is a lovely bit of news. David Benedict and Tabitha Agnew, who you might know from the Foreignlanders or Cup of Joe or David's wonderful mandolin YouTube channel, they just announced that they have become parents. So that was lovely to see. Congratulations, David. Congratulations, Tabitha. That is lovely news. Good for you. What else? I saw a funny post from Billy Strings saying he just had a guitar lesson online with Jake Workman, and then a post from Jake Workman saying that Billy Strings had a lesson with him. I love that. Like, Billy is one of those people that is like loads of people's favourite guitarists, and he is still having a guitar lesson because there's things he wants to learn, and I think it's a wonderful thing. It'd be really easy for somebody like Billy just to kind of like sit on top of the tree and know it all, figuratively speaking, if you know what I mean. And the idea that he's not only having that lesson, but he's posting about it and shouting about it and is keen for people to see that he's still learning. And I think that's one of my favourite things about this music, is just how kind of open everybody is, how much everybody talks about being on the same journey, wherever on that journey you are. And it's an inspiring thing for somebody like me who is nowhere near as good a guitarist as Billy Strings or Jake Workman. But just the idea that we're all still working away at this stuff in whatever way we do, and trying to get better, and it's very cool to see. So well done, Billy and Jake, and congratulations to David and Tabitha. And that is it for Scroll On Buddy. All there is left to say is what's been in my ears this week, and it's an old album, but it is new to me, and it's Dan Crary's Jammed If I Do. And Dan Crary is one of those guitarists I've read loads about and kind of never really spent much time listening to, and so I sort of dug out this record, Jammed If I Do, and I've been listening to it all week. And it is great. It is great. It's got guest appearances from Doc Watson, Tony Rice, Norma Blake, and Beppy Gambetta on it, and it's just good playing all round. Just if you like flat picked guitar, and I'm sure I'm telling you this record, and you're all going, "We knew that. That's good. We already knew that record. Where have you been?" But if you don't, have a listen. Really enjoyed that, and we'll keep listening to that. I will go and dig out more of Dan's records. Looking forward to that too. But that is it. Usual stuff. If you want to sign up for the Bluegrass Jam Along mailing list, it's at bluegrassjamalong.com. There's a list of interviews. You can filter everything, sort everything. All the backing tracks are on the website. You can speed them up and slow them down without affecting the pitch. All the cool charts are there. All of that stuff. If you enjoy the podcast, please do share it. Please do leave me a review wherever you get your podcasts, or a rating, or both. And check back in on Wednesday to hear from Jason Valindi at Fretboard Journal, because I'm really looking forward to sharing that one. And that is probably it for this week. So I will say goodbye. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Happy picking. And here comes a little bit more Bryan Sutton for you. Bye. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collings Guitars and Mandolins, making some of the finest guitars and mandolins in the world since the 1970s. Visit collingsguitars.com and find out why.